Boy, do we have a mess of cables, PCs, monitors, and this little guy that we're going to talk about here. And I've been waiting 3 months for this thing, maybe 4. But I was part of a Kickstarter program, and there are some of us that ordered them, been waiting for them, and it's a KVM. It's called the Nano Pro KVM. And I got my hands on one now. You can get them on Amazon, by the way, now, and they're basically the same price, if not maybe even a little cheaper than what we paid. But we got it. I'm going to test it out. And actually, a little disclaimer, I sort of already tested it out. It's already unboxed. Just because I didn't want to waste 2 hours trying to figure everything out on camera. But I got some of the basics down. I'm going to walk you through a couple things. And I got this for my father, mainly so I can remote into his computer and do some of the updates without me leaving my house. Not that he lives so far away, but he has a lot of updates that he doesn't know how to do and other various things that he contacts me for that is not always worth me getting up and leaving the house for. So with that said, we're going to dive into this, so stay right there. Okay, so yep, here's the unit, and we're going to dive into this a little bit here. I'll get you a close-up, picture of it here shortly. But basically, I'm going to be putting this at my father's, but I have to test everything out here to make sure it works. I only tested it here locally, meaning that it works off of my local network perfectly fine and capable. But since this is going off of my network, I have to remote into this. So that's going to require a VPN. And you can get a free service or a free plan, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, through Tailscale. Now this already has Tailscale built into it, which is great. You just set up an account on Tailscale. Through here, you can do it. You just click on it, and it brings you to link up this, plus the computer you want to link up. So now my main PC and this are linked up together. That's if I don't change the name on it, which I'm going to. So let me get you a close-up of it. Okay, so here's the unit. Here's the, yep, I got it facing the right way. So we have a touch screen, by the way. Now, I don't know the size of it. I think it's like 1.47 inches or something like that. I don't know all the details of this. I didn't memorize them all, and I'm not going to read them off a list. You want to know more about this, please go either on Amazon or better yet, go direct to their website. This is by, and I did forget to say, it's by SiSpeed or SiPeed. SiSpeed, it's SiPeed. So they had a Kickstarter program, and this is it. So we do get a touch screen and a display screen here that'll give you all kinds of information on this unit. This is a dual core processor in here. It's got like, I think 1 gigabyte of RAM in it and some other interesting specs on it. We do have a dial right here and a push button. So there's short presses, long presses that you can do. And you can also swipe through the screen and do almost the same thing that this does. So it's kind of nice. They give you 2 options there. It's got some pads on the bottom, so kind of like an anti-slip. And on the back here is the business side. I'll have to get, yeah, let's see. So right there, we start here, we get a gigabit Ethernet. So that's a step up from some of their previous models, which you only get like 100 megabits. This is 1 gigabit or 1,000 megabits. Let's see, we do get a out. So this is your out, so it's going out of the box, which means it's going to your monitor. And then you get your in, this is your input. So this is a loop feed. So basically you can have this set up so I can have, when I put this at my father's house, he can continually watch his screen, he can watch what I do on it, and he can leave this hooked up. So it's a bypass. So it kind of, well, maybe it's not a bypass, but it's a loop feed. So whatever I'm seeing, he's seeing real time. So that's kind of nice. So 1 cable in, 1 cable out. It does have like a memory card port there. It's probably for saving something. I don't know. I didn't look into it. It's not something I'm going to be using anyway. The other things that we got up here, which I got to get light behind this camera, I swear. But we have our ATX power. Basically, what this is going to, I'm trying to see where I put it. It comes with this. I already have the wires hooked up, but basically what that's going to allow us to do is to hook this up right here. You would, well, yeah. So you would hook this part up to where your input-output cables would go, like your power switch and your reset switch, your power LED, so on. So that gets replaced by this. You plug that in, plug this side in to your PC cables that would originally go to that spot. And we'll kind of show it here. And then a USB cable. By the way, they, I think, shorted me one cable, so I have to contact them. I think this thing should be coming with 3 cables. It came with 2 USB cables. So we can see there's 2 USB Type-C ports up on the top there, right? They only gave me 2. I have no idea why, because you need 2 for it to operate properly. So I don't know why they didn't give you the 3rd. So this is going to be kind of a, you know, a trial and error thing. It is a Kickstarter, so they may have screwed up. But anyway, you plug in your USB Type-C into this part, and then into the ATX port right there, you would plug in the other side. And this will allow you to, or allow me, to give you an example, if I wanted to power the unit off or reset his computer, I can do that. And even if I power it off by mistake, I can also turn it on. So it'll send a signal just through the USB cable into here, and then it'll automatically power on the PC for me. Also, if you are, if you have some sort of a hard issue, like a hardware issue or a software issue where the computer's not responding anymore, you can actually do what's called a long press button up at the top, which is triggered through here, and it'll act like you're holding down on the power button for like 8 seconds, 10 seconds. So that's pretty cool. So that's what that part does. That's the ATX portion. Then right next to it, you have your power for this. This is 5 volt. They recommend, you can have a 1 amp, and you can also have, you can hook this up to the computer. If your computer has a port, let's just say this, it's more highly recommended, I don't know if that's the right term, but it's more recommended to have a separate power source. So like for instance, this monitor, or like plugging in your cell phone, you would have a separate block that you plug a little USB port into, or a USB cable, and that would go up and feed this 5 volts, 1 amp. That's the minimum to run this. If you are doing other stuff with this, I forget what it said, but it recommends, you'd have to go through the list, but it recommends 3 amps or more. So if you have something that's 3 amps or more at 5 volts, that's what I would recommend, just hooking this up to constant, so it has constant power. And because if you reset the computer, this may be reset depending on what USB port you plug this into, because you can plug this in and get power to power this. But if you shut down your computer, unless you have it enabled through the BIOS, or if some computers might not even have that option to where you can, the USB port is powered all the time. So it's just something to keep in mind. But for my testing, I did it all through the USB cable or port right on the back of the computer, so it worked perfectly fine. I was able to get into the BIOS too, so that's another great thing about this unit. I know I'm kind of going off tangent here. And then we have another USB Type-C port right there at the end. It's HID, so it's Human Interface Device, I think is what it means. And basically what that is your input, so like your keyboard and mouse. You don't have that hooked up, FYI, that's how I found out. If you don't have that hooked up, you're not going to get control. You might be able to log in and see the screen, and if somebody else was using it, you'd be able to see what they're doing. But unless that cable is hooked up to the back of this computer, or whatever computer you're trying to remote into, then your mouse and your keyboard are not going to work. So yeah, so yep, that's all the ports that are on this. This does have another port up just above the Ethernet. I forget what that's called, but nothing that we're going to use. I think that's more for diagnostics for the machine or something like that, or maybe update the firmware through a cable through this. I don't know. But this is all updated through software. It's a great little unit so far. I've only spent a couple hours with it, just navigating and just trying to figure some things out before I went on camera. Because, like I said, this can take a while to learn if you're brand new to it. And I am brand new to something like this. I've never had... I did use before this, what I used, this is one of the big key points, is what I used as Instant House Call. Great service. I'm not knocking it. It's just way overpriced for what I need to do. It was costing me over $300 to use it, but, you know, I don't know, 20, 30 times a year. You know, just to remote in and take care of a couple things, it's worth me driving over there compared to this, which is a lot cheaper, like $100, $110. You buy it once, you're done, you get free updates, and you'd also get your money back guarantee from Amazon. And so you have a support through the company too. So you do have a warranty through the company. So anyway, that's the unit, that's up close. Now talk about a few other things. All right, so this is the box that it does come in, and FYI, it does not come with any instructions or anything like that. It does have a couple QR codes. You can get some information if you only have your cell phone. Otherwise, I suggest going online. Now, there are a couple things I wanted to point out that it does say on here. Stream 4K at 45 frames per second / 2K at 95 frames per second. Well, it's a little bit of false advertising right now, because those options are for a future update that they will be releasing. It's not available right now, as far as I can tell. So, yeah. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but that's the information that I found out. It's going to be for a future update, because I used the QR code, I went right to it, and it stated that these are the features, and below the new features that are coming. So yeah, it's capable of it, but the software version right now does not allow it. So just keep that in mind. This does have, of course, remote desktop. I don't know why that's advertised, because that's the whole idea of this. Like, that's another bulletin point that they need to point out. I mean, if you're buying this, obviously you know that that's what you're buying it for, so I don't know why they have on there. I mean, it does show 4K, but that's all they needed. They didn't have to say remote desktop. But remote power control, absolutely. We're going to demonstrate that, by the way. I have not done it. So that's one thing we're going to do together, and hopefully it works. Let's see. The other thing, the 4K pass-through. Yep, you can do 4K pass-through. Remote installation, you can, like iOS installation. So if you want to reinstall Windows on a computer, for instance, yeah, go for it. Yeah, you can do it. And let's see. And then we talked about the streaming as far as the 4K and all that, the future update. And NanoKVM plus PI KVM. And I forget what the PI is, but it's a different environment. It's just a little bit different, a little more techy. But I'm not going to use that. We're not even going to bother looking at that if that's something you want. So that's the box that came in. No other information really on the box. I did get the version, though. You have to pay attention to this, because on the box here it has 4 different versions you can get. I got the desktop plus Wi-Fi, so this can be connected via the Ethernet cable, and you can also do this Wi-Fi. So I may do it Wi-Fi through my father's place, because he doesn't have his router in his room. And then you can get the desktop plus PoE, so power over Ethernet. You can get the desktop plus Wi-Fi plus PoE. This is not what it costs, a little bit more, but you can get it so it's an all-in-one. Or just the desktop, so it would have been just this without Wi-Fi, and that would have been slightly cheaper. But why not get the option with Wi-Fi, right? So the other things it came with this ribbon cable. I guess, I don't know what the this ribbon cable is for. This one was a lot nicer, so I don't know if these are exchangeable. I mean, I guess they could be, or interchangeable, but you don't have, like, when I hook this one up, it tells you, you have to look at the instructions, because on here, oh, wait a minute, does it tell you? No. So on this board, it doesn't tell you where the power, you know, the power button or the reset cable goes. It will tell you online or on your thing here that you scan. So otherwise, I don't, you know, forgive me, I don't know what the heck this is for. I don't care. I'm not using it. It comes with a short cable, so you can kind of keep this, you know, on top of the PC. Or this would have been nice if it came with like an additional like strip you could put over this, like magnetic. Boom. That would have been nice. So, you know, I'm just thinking about that now. But anyway, you would have to plug this in here or keep it near, you know, the computer so you can plug this in. And then your longer cable going to your monitor can get plugged in as the out. So, came with the box, this, that cable. It came with this. It came with 2 USB Type A to Type C cables, same length. And I believe I'm missing a third, because these 2 cables have to be hooked up to the unit. So this one, we're going to just kind of start going at it right here. This one gets hooked up to your power, right? So just to power this thing on, that needs to be hooked up. Your second one is going to go to the HID port, which allows you remote control, so you can have a keyboard, so you can use your keyboard when you're on that screen, or you can use your mouse. This also has a virtual keyboard, by the way, and we'll take a look at that. But those 2 have to be hooked up in order to have any kind of successful remote access and control over this. So when you hook this up to the PC so you can reboot it, where's the USB cable that comes from this? Now all of a sudden I got to supply my own. So that kind of sucks. But I have a couple options here. I probably could dig out something else if I really need to. Actually, I might be able to grab that cable over there. But anyway, I have a Type C to Type C. Then I have this cable, which I'm hoping will be just enough. I know this was mainly for power, but we'll give this a try. If this doesn't work, then we'll figure something out. I will get something. It's just something that I found quick, and it was handy. Okay, so our first step is for me to maybe not reset this. I haven't decided yet. So let me think about that for a second. All right, so basically from your computer, you have a cable coming out, right? This cable coming out of the computer is going to go to the input of this. So that is your in. And we just need to find the in, and it's just basically hook it up. Then we have the out cable going to your monitor. Now, I'm not using this just because of demonstration, but otherwise, this is what it comes with. If you don't have a bunch of other cables laying around, then you would use this in exchange for this cable on the back of the PC. This would be your short cable. I guess you could do it the other way around. There's probably not a problem doing it that way. I guess depending on where your computer is and where this thing is, just depends on which direction you want to go. But I have this. This is going to the output of this unit. Now, because I'm not going to go through the configuration of Wi-Fi on this, we're just going to do Ethernet right now, because that's going to involve me putting in passwords and, you know, domain, and I'm basically not going to be doing that here. I'm going to be doing that at his place. So me putting in my information on this is going to be pointless. So our next thing is we will take first our cable that provides us USB and a mouse. Put it in usually like a 2.0 port. Any port will normally work, but a 2.0 port is best for that, so you're not using up a bunch of resources. And then you want to pick, if you have to hook this up to the PC, the power cable, then you want to do something that you potentially know is always on. Like sometimes you'll find a port, like the easiest way to find out is take your USB cable, maybe for your phone, shut the computer off, and start plugging them into ports, and whichever port lights up. Now you won't know the amperage of that probably unless you go through the manual or figure that out. But I'm going to plug it right into there. Unit comes on automatically. Now the first time that this ever turned on, it did go to this screen, but first what it'll do, oh, I got to hook up the, I was just thinking about this, I got to hook up the Ethernet cable. So your computer is going to require an Ethernet cable if you don't have Wi-Fi, and this unit's going to require an Ethernet cable if you don't have Wi-Fi, but they're both capable of Wi-Fi, then that's all you need. So we're going to hook that up. And what it does is as soon as I hook that up, the screen changed, and now it's giving me the IP address of this unit. Simple, easy. And then it goes to an automatic updated clock. And I don't even know what time it is, but I don't know if that's the correct time. Let's see. Yeah, that's the correct time on there now, so it must have updated. So that's telling me it's 12:48. 0048. No, that would be AM. I think that's off by a little bit. All right, whatever. Not worried about that right now. That can be an update whenever. So you can, I think you can, yep, long press that. If you long press it, it'll kind of shrink, and then it'll give you the option. You can either scroll left or right using this, which is a little bit easier, I have to say. And then if whatever you want to select, you just push down once, and that's what's going to be highlighted. So this is telling us the CPU usage, basically the IP address and stuff like that on this screen for this unit. But you can scroll over on that and get the information off of the actual computer, which is pretty cool too. So our next thing that I think we're going to hook up is I'm just going to maybe hook this directly up right now. But what I wanted to say is when you turn this on for the first time, and let's just say you don't hook this up, doesn't really matter. You turn this on for the first time, and what you have to do is you have to go to open Google Chrome. They recommend Google Chrome with this, just an FYI. But when you go to Google Chrome, up in the URL, the very top bar, you're going to type in the IP address that this thing displayed. Type it in verbatim, the 192.168, I think this was 6857. So that was the IP address for this right off the get-go. You should type that in, and then you're going to sign in. But it's basically, it's going to come up with a warning. And you have to click, don't worry about that, it is normal. It actually tells you in the instructions, QR code. And down at the bottom, it's going to have like a advanced little tab or a button to click. Click on that, and it'll say proceed anyway, or something like that. You're going to proceed to this IP address. Then the screen is going to go kind of like black, and you're going to get, or whatever color, maybe in the future, but for my case, it kind of went black with some login information right in the center. And the default username and password is admin, all lowercase. And you get in, you change your passwords, you can change all that stuff as soon as you log in. So just a kind of a little thing. I don't know if I'm going to really show that, but I kind of want to just do this. And I think I'm going to power this thing off. And we're going to get this thing, see if I can pull this off. Okay. Now this thing has a panel. Oh, that's not going to be quite as easy and straightforward. All right, so I got these hooked up, and what I did is just hook up the power switch and the reset switch. I think I got them in the right location, but this computer case does not have the separate wiring. And then this piece is going to go straight on. where, oh, I have it backwards. Actually, let me plug in this first. And now we have our USB cable. I'm going to plug this straight in, hopefully not interfering with the fans. And this is kind of difficult. It'd be easier with the graphics card out of the way. So this is not something that really looks that nice, to be honest. But I'll have to wire it up so it doesn't interfere with anything in his case, which it shouldn't. His is a minimalistic, you know, case and equipment in here. It doesn't have a lot of fans. So we're in between the fans right now. We're going to plug this in. I don't know if this one's going to work because of the type of cable it is. It might be just more of a power cable, but we'll see. Okay, and my mic kind of got all screwed up there. Apologize. So let me get this turned back around for you. Now, we can see that this unit is off now. And I'm kind of wondering why. Oh, ha, I turned the power supply off. That's right. All right, so we turn the power supply back on. That lights up. Now, here's the idea. Obviously, I can't remote in right here. This is all hooked up together. So what I'm going to do is turn around back here. And we're going to open up this Google Chrome. And, you know, maybe I'll start a screen recording on here. All right, here we go, guys. So I actually have the remote desktop icon. It actually did it for me automatically. But if we come to the top, I named it, let's see, the NanoKVM, and then it's local. So if we do that, see how it says your connection is not private? This is exactly what you're going to see the first time you hook it up. And I don't know how to get rid of this for the future, but I really don't care at this moment. That's not my concern. But you can see you can go back to safety. Oh no. Or we could click to advance. Now this is only working because this thing is powered on. If this thing is off, or if you have it plugged into a USB port with this thing off, this won't get power. You won't be able to remote in from a different location, whether it's in your house or across the country. So just an FYI on that. So we click on that advanced tab. It says proceed. So we're going to proceed. And now, ironically, I did this the same as Carrie Holzman, which is kind of funny, but we just named it Nano KVM, and then whoops, it's not spelling right. Nano. So I just changed it briefly, and we can see right now that what it's seeing is a black screen. I'm seeing a black screen here because this PC is off, but we are remoted in to this little unit right here, which is excellent. So if we come out to the top here, we can see a little power button, but it's not lit up. So this makes me wonder if it's even working. And it doesn't look like it's going to work, but let's just try it. Let's see what it does. So it did not power it up. So either I might have the connections on the motherboard incorrect. So I'm going to check that, and I'll be right back. So I'm not just diddle-dallying around, keeping you on camera. It always helps when the actual cable was fully seated. So we're going to give it a try again and see what happens. Again, I don't know if this cable is going to work, but also my button right here is not lit up like it's seeing it. So let's just try powering it on. Okay, I don't think it worked. So I'm going to try a different cable, and we'll kind of go from there and see what's going to happen. All right. It was the cable. So I just installed this cable. You just saw it turn on. It went green. I know you can't see that because I stopped this. Let me just push play on that. Okay, now you can see it. It is loading here and here. I'm not going to turn this around, but so we have picture on both now. And so that turned it on without a problem. And now you can see when we're in here, we can do anything. We're remoted in through here again. This is the coolest thing. I love it. And how cheap it is, $100. $100 and you're done. Now that's given that this thing never has a problem. But that's it. I mean, if you have customers or something, this or the other unit, if you have an empty PCIe slot, not that you're going to use the slot. And that was the other thing that Kerry Holzman pointed out, and that is a little weird, how they make a PCIe version of this, but it still uses a cable for power instead of using the PCIe lane for power, which then you would only need like one cable coming off of it. That's very strange. So anyway, that works for doing that. And if we come over here to here, I just wanted to go through a couple things and show you. But starting over here, you can hit this X. It doesn't exit you out. Okay, and you can see we have a trail. See the trail of the, it's just the delay between this computer and this computer. That's all it is. But you just, you click that X, you can get right back in right here, no problem. You can hit this, which will go full screen, as big as it's going to go. And just hit escape to get back. We have our settings right here. And this is where you can switch it to the Pi KVM. So if you are interested in, I don't know if it has more options within it or it's more geeky. You know, it's got some other stuff going on. But we also have quick access to documents, so like the manual to this, the GitHub, X, and discussions, frequently asked questions. So we can see the IP address, and when you change it down here, see where it says host name? You can actually just change this. You can highlight it, change it to whatever you want to change it. You click the little check mark, and then this will become this. So your DNS, that's where you can just type in up at the top. Usually it's after you reboot this unit, it'll take effect. So you can either pull the power, put the power back in, or you can come right up to, I think it's under device, and right down here where it says reboot, you can reboot this unit. So that's the about section of this. Then we have appearance. You can change some things in here. You could do all kinds of stuff. You can wake this on LAN. You can do terminal and say, I don't need any of these really. I just want the power. And let's see, we have device. So we have all these options in here. Of course, we have to have on the DNS if we want to remote in. We have the virtual network, which I think I have to turn on this. Yeah, mount virtual network card on the remote host. No, I probably don't need that. That's for the actual card. So this is where you configure your Wi-Fi, so you can log right in there. You also have a mouse jiggler. So if you don't want this going to sleep, we would just activate this and it would, I don't know, jiggle it every so often. I'm not sure how often it would jiggle it, but that's what it would do. You have LED strip, which is stupid. You can actually buy these with an LED strip that would like go on the back of your monitor or something. I don't know, it's dumb. And then we have HDMI pass-through, HDMI capture mode. So those are all great. Now this is tail scale. This is actually, I already have this stuff, but it's on my other computer. But it's not set up on this one, it's set up on the other one. So that's why it's not showing any information on here. I could log in, but I'm not going to. This is where one of the most important things on here, if not anything else, this is where you check for updates. Also, this does not come with this checked. So if you want to get the latest and greatest preview updates, so basically it's like the newest update, but it's not fully released yet, you can check that box and you can have the option to install that if you want. Let's see what else. We have account. So this is where you can change your password and you can log out of the unit. And then if we come up here, we have, like I was showing you, we do have the power. So we could restart this now, right through this. And which the restarting signal is going to go right through this into the motherboard as if you were pushing the reset up top there, or restarting it down here. But this allows you direct control to the motherboard, not just to the buttons and not to the software, but to the motherboard. This also has the power, so the long click. So if you were having a software issue or you suspect a hardware issue and it's locked up on you, you can click that button. Again, everything up top there is directly to this. Everything in the screen is directly on this. And this will send a signal to basically, it's simulating holding that button down for that 5 to 10 seconds. And you can actually increase the length of time if you want. So in case you have issues, but it's it's defaulted to 8 seconds. We're just going to keep it on that. This confirm, I do kind of like this because sometimes you get click happy or you click it by accident, whatever it is. You have a finger that just won't stop clicking. So when you go to reset something, for instance, like this, it's going to ask you for a confirmation. Yeah, I did want to reset it. Maybe once you get used to it and you want to move a little quicker and you're really comfortable with everything that you click on, maybe you can disable that. But even for me, I think I might turn that on. The other thing is, let's see, we have Wake on LAN. Yep, we can do that if you want. This is a terminal, so if you click on this, you can. There's some other stuff that you can do in there. You have Smart Assist. Now, I haven't looked into this. I'm not really interested in it, but if you want to, I would go ahead and look at that. I don't know what the Smart Assist is. We have scripts, so you can upload scripts right from your computer if it's doing something, or if you want to get other information, you can copy and paste and load it right into there. And this has images, so the images is like the iOS images, so you can, reinstall Windows if you want. That's just an example. Then we have our mouse options, so we have cursor style, so we can do all kinds of different styles here. We have the relative mode or absolute mode, wheel speed, and we can reset this. So if something's funky in here, a reset of one of these cables here, the HID, the human interface device, it may benefit you. If you reset it, you might get your stuff back. Let's see here. We do have the keyboard. So this is the virtual keyboard. It pops up right here. So if you want to get into the BIOS, because this does allow you to get into the BIOS, and sometimes it won't let you use the mouse in the BIOS, depending on the version of motherboard and stuff, with this unit. So it allows you not only for a virtual keyboard, but you can also use your left and right keys and your enter and your escape key to navigate the BIOS if you have to do stuff in there. But this also gives you the option, if you are restarting it and you don't go through it the troubleshooting method to get into the BIOS for resetting your computer, if you're just hitting like the delete key repeatedly, you can hit it virtually and it should get you into the BIOS. You do have the all control delete. You also have a paste, so that's kind of nice. So we have screen mode. So one thing that's coming in a future update, so we do have the H.264 and the MJPEG. But one thing that is coming is the H.265. So that's coming in a future update. We do have the quality, so you can, depending on what computer you're using, if you're multitasking, maybe you don't want a high quality for your remoted in. This is your, I don't know what GOP. What's GOP? I know it's not, I don't think it's frames, it might be frames per second. So like the equivalent to frames per second? I don't know. But this is frames per second, so I don't know what the GOP is. So excuse me for that. I just don't know what that is. It's not going to bother me one way or another. I just leave it stock. But this is going to have future updates too. So right now we're not getting everything that we want, but this will give you future updates. And I don't know what this does. So like it gives you the that, but it doesn't really do anything. So that's the basics of it, and just so many things you can do in here. This is incredible. I mean, it's probably not going to do as much as Instant House Call, but this thing is very capable. Now, the other thing that I did notice is this does get a bit warm. So it's not as hot as it was before. Maybe that was because I was setting it up or something. But this is pretty cool where you can... I'm going to have to buy another cable, though. So I got to figure out... I got to contact them and see if there were supposed to be 3 cables. Because why would you ship it with that option to put in? It comes with all those cables, but it comes with this ribbon cable that I'll never use. I don't even know what that's for. Maybe somebody, you know, if you know in the comments, put it down there. I have no idea. Doesn't come with any instructions in the box, so it's not. I can't reference it quick, so I don't know what that's for. But other than that, I mean, what more can you ask for? Let's see. If I just do, you know, a power. So that this is as if I'm going to just shut the computer down. And it should shut that down. Boom. Done. I don't know, if you ask me, that's pretty cool. And I'm very excited to get this into action so I don't have to keep going over there. I mean, you know, as obvious it might be to some people, I mean, even updating my father's router, his Asus router, like the firmware, I should put that on auto update. And I gotta see if it is. But just as something as simple as logging into his router. So I log into his computer, then I can log into his router. That's without me going over there. This is the brilliance of this, and how small and compact it is, and how cheap it is for being able to do something like that. I mean, it'd be really beneficial if, you know, if he lived hours away or a state or two away. You have this shipped to him or to whoever. Yeah, they may have to plug it in. You might have to walk them through how to plug it all in. And if you don't know how to hook up all this, you might want to get it for yourself and then ship it to them, so you know what to do and what to tell somebody to do. But other than that, this is a great unit. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. It has a lot of options. I hope I didn't leave anything out that was super important. We're going to go over every detail. This does have, let me just go through the screens on this quick so you can see what's in it. All right, we got the autofocus off, so it's only going to focus on that. Oh, man. All right, so if you long press on that, then you can scroll through and you can look at different things like the host. So this would be the actual computer right there. So you could actually look at stuff like that. You do another long press. There we go. You do have settings. So you have your Wi-Fi, your Ethernet, USB. So if it's lit up, it takes actually a second to light up. So if it's lit up, you're actually connected. I don't know why it's showing HDMI. So the HDMI loop and input are connected. And we have NDS connected. You also have the brightness of this panel, so we could turn this right up. That actually might have been making it warm too, because I forgot that I turned it down, because I just didn't need it that bright. So just kind of keep it, you know, maybe for this demonstration, just keep it bright. But you have an auto clock. I don't know. Let's see. And then you have a help, but you also have ambient light. Huh, interesting. Okay. So different settings in here. USB panel settings. I don't know what that is, but I don't really need it. and then you have your Wi-Fi, so you can turn your Wi-Fi on, and then it'll look for whatever IP domains you have, and you can get that set up. So very cool little unit. Love it. All right, guys. Well, tell me what you think of this little unit. I will leave a link for Amazon, and just make sure you know what you're picking if you do want to pick one of these up. I will also leave the link to where this is purchased, and you can go over and look at some of the options over there as well. But other than that, that's going to do it for me. And I really enjoyed this video. It's probably one of my better videos that I enjoyed doing. I wasn't sure that I was going to do it, but because I kind of wanted to get this over to him and just hook it up. So, but took about an hour for me to do this video, but I got to edit it. Just a couple little edits. Nothing that I screwed up. It's just time hooking up the cable and stuff like that. But anyway, you guys take care, and I'll be back for another. See ya.